Thank Thank you very much. And before we begin, you notice it was being recorded. If you do not want your face to be showed, you probably want to turn off your camera now. Today, Connie Paus will be doing a manual speech project under effective coaching. It's a level 5 elective called Moderate a Panel Discussion. Her speech title is Skill Development Through Meeting Roles. This educational discussion is led by Connie Paus, who has been a member of Wild Oats since 1990, of October of 1990. She's been active within this club in various leadership roles and in various leadership roles within the District of 42. Her project is from the Effective Coaching Path, and the purpose of this project is for Connie to apply her skills as a speaker and a leader to facilitate a panel discussion. Overall, this project will be 28 minutes, and I will be giving her timing lights on the overall sessions. Green 24, amber 26, and red at 28. I will be doing that through private chat for her. Connie will also be providing instructions for the individual panel presentations, which Tommy will be timing. I would like everyone to welcome Connie Paus with Skill Development Through Meeting Roles. Connie Paus.
Thank you so much, Laurel, and welcome everyone to this presentation. The Toastmasters program is designed to help members become better communicators and leaders. Something to keep in mind is that we don't get good at Toastmasters to be good at Toastmasters. We get good at Toastmasters in order to take these skills outside of our meeting. In fact, this winter, I've seen 2 former Wild Oats members interviewed on TV. I think, or at least I hope, that in some ways, their Toastmasters experience helped them in doing such a great job. In our meetings, we learn from doing. And and there are many roles that we do in our meetings. Some of these roles require more preparation than others, and some take more time on the agenda. But still, there is no such thing as an unimportant role. In our session today, we are going to hear from 4 panelists who will each talk about 2 of the roles that we regularly do at Wild Oats. You'll hear about the role, how it contributes to skill development, and hopefully something personal from each of our speakers. The roles in alphabetical order are General Evaluator, Presenter's Choice, Speaker, Speech Evaluator, Table Topics Master, Table Topics Speaker, Timer, and Toastmaster of the Day. Let me now introduce our 4 panelists. Bev Ward has been with Wild Oats for almost 30 years. She's worked through the Legacy program and now the Pathways program. She's done many, many speeches and projects. Bev has been an integral leader at Wild Oats and within District 42. Catherine Zakundiak has been a member of Wild Oats for over 10 years. She's been active within our club, doing many speeches and club officer roles. Catherine has really embraced the leadership track in Toastmaster, fulfilling many district offices, and now she is serving as a region advisor. Connie Paus has been a member of Wild Oats since March 1st, 2020. She's been active, fulfilling various meeting roles and working on speeches and projects within her path. Last spring, Connie was a competitor in the International Speech Contest, representing Wild Oats right through to the division level. Connie serves on a number of boards, and in that capacity, last year we had a panel discussion and she served on that panel as well. Steve Olifinat-Ladi has been a member of Wild Oats since October of 2019. He's been active within his time in Toastmasters, fulfilling all meeting roles and working diligently in the Pathways program. This year, Steve ventured into club leadership. Currently, he is serving as our club secretary. So in this session today, I will introduce each role and the panelist addressing it, along with some questions. Each panelist will have up to 2 minutes for their presentation. Tommy, as timer, if you could please provide them with the green at 1, the yellow at 1.5, and the red at 2 minutes. We are going to talk a little bit more about timing a bit later. At the end of the panel presentation, if there is time, we may be able to address some questions. You can post these in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. If we can't answer the questions as part of the presentation, we'll do our best to respond to you later by email. But enough from me. Let's hear from the panel. Our first panelist and role is Catherine Sekundiak, with the role of Toastmaster of the Day. Catherine, could you tell us please about the key roles of Toastmaster and some of those key learnings or skills that you have obtained from this role? Has the role provided benefit or impact for you outside of Toastmasters? And very important for us right now, has the role been impacted by our online meetings? Catherine.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Connie. Toastmaster of the Day. Ola's giving us a fantastic example of what Toastmaster of the Day looks like here in our meeting today. Awesome job, Ola. That is really, the Toastmaster is really the person running the show. They're putting everything together. And this not only includes what you see here in the meeting now, but it also includes all the preparation leading up to that. You work with the VP of Education, some of the executive, to help fill their roles for the meeting, to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and everybody is prepared and are able to participate fully in the meeting as well. So you make sure that show runs as you planned. But there's always things that come up. No matter how much you prepare, there's always situations that come up in any live event. And that's no different with Toastmaster. And I think that has probably been one of the most valuable key skills that I've learned from the role of Toastmaster, is how to be prepared and be prepared for anything and to be able to adapt to any circumstances that come up. You know, I've been in situations where, we've had somebody not show up. That happens. Or somebody loses connection in the online world. That happens. And as the Toastmaster or the master of the chair for the meeting, you need to respond appropriately. So that definitely has an opportunity to up your skills by becoming Toastmaster of the Day. Again, it's changed a little bit with the online environment. With online, we don't have to worry about letting people into the room or waiting for people to show up at the door, but it's like moments right before the meeting starts and people show up right before an online meeting. So that does become a little bit more anxious these days, because people will often arrive right before. So we've taken considerations to have people arrive early, and that has sure helped. So Toastmaster is a great opportunity for you to really step up and create the show, from pre-planning to planning for whatever happens in the event itself and adjusting on the fly. The Toastmaster role gives you ample experience that you'll deal with every time you're in a meeting. Thanks, Connie.
Thanks very much, Catherine, for that. The genial host is a way that I have heard that talked about in the past, and certainly it is an important role. Another another thing that we do in our club is we have the role of presenter's choice. Connie Paus is going to step forward and talk about this particular role. So Connie, can you provide us with some background on the 3 options that we have in Wild Oats for this role, and perhaps talk about some of the skills that these help us to develop? If there's a role in particular that you find more challenging or more rewarding, please tell us about that as well. Over to you, Connie.
Thank you, Connie. Well, at Wild Oats here, we have consolidated 3 roles that can be rolled into presenter's choice. Now, with that said, I just want to kick it off saying I really enjoy presenter's choice because it kicks off the meeting. And if you have any nerves or those types of situations, you get to get rid of them right off the hop. But with that said, presenter's choice, you get to select between 3 different areas. And that is 1, it would be a toast, 2 would be an inspirational, or 3 would be a funny, kind of humorist kind of aspect of yourself. With that, I'd like to just share that it's really nice because you can kind of pick how you're feeling that day or that week, and just really kind of hone in on what you want to address, a toast or an inspirational or the humor. And it's a wonderful perspective or part of the group because it's something that we use all the time when we're going out for a date or whether we're going out to a meeting. There's always those awkward few minutes at the beginning, you know, where no one's talking, or you know, just on the street walking through. So I really love this piece simply because it does develop that skill of that getting it down to 1 minute, which sounds really easy, but at the beginning you may be only at 20 seconds and you'll be just like, oh my gosh, that was forever. But getting to that 1 minute and being really succinct and drawing people in, presenter's choice is an excellent area to draw in on those types of skills. I could go on, but I'm sticking to my 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Colleen. I appreciate your comments. Presenter's choice is a very good role, and we do enjoy it at Wild Oats because it allows the speaker to take it in whatever direction they want. An important reason why we join Toastmasters is to deliver prepared speeches, to hone our public speaking skills. Please welcome Steve Oliphant-Laddie for a discussion of this particular role. So Steve, tell us about the progression and growth that you have experienced in doing speeches. How have you utilized these speaking skills in your life outside of Toastmasters? Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Connie. I would begin by saying that many of us join the Toastmasters. I mean, we join Toastmasters for a variety of reasons. And again, just Mustafa, you're just in the right place, just like you mentioned. Many join just to develop a public speaking skills. So what a great place for you to belong to. So I would encourage you to make the best use of this platform. Now, while topics are largely up to us as speakers to select from, each project that you'll be a part of has a focus to help you develop a specific skill or skill set. Now, this is a role I must mention that requires some advanced preparation as you review the project, as you determine your content, as you practice, and ultimately how you deliver on that role. Now, speeches, again, it's important to not build on one another to help you develop your communication skill. You might decide to deliver this with a natural infusion of energy as you find Ola doing quite nicely, or you might have a preference for building conviction or slowly speaking, as I prefer to do. Overall, you pick whatever works the best for you. You also pick up transferable skills, for instance, like participating in a structured interview, just as Connie alluded to on the TV, like you mentioned earlier, leading a team, teaching, and for me, for instance, personalizing this, teaching Sunday school, and also for others, it might be leading effective meetings in the workplace. Thank you, Connie, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I think one of the things that I've appreciated in my years in Toastmasters is that you're not expected to be all things all at once. It is definitely a staged building process. But once we've given a speech, it's important for us to get constructive feedback. That's how we grow as speakers. Bev Ward is now going to tell us more about the role of speech evaluator. So Bev, what have you learned about constructive language and motivating others from the role of speech evaluator? And have these evaluation skills been useful to you outside of Toastmasters? And if so, how?
Thank you very much, Connie. As you alluded to earlier, with everything that I do in Toastmasters, I think about how it can be applied and how it can benefit me in all aspects of my life. So things like at work, at home, volunteer, working, dealing with family situations, all of those types of things. All of our Toastmasters speeches and projects have objectives. And as an evaluator, what we need to do is observe and assess what is being done by the speaker in comparison to those project standards. It also requires some quick on-the-fly analyzing of what we've seen and what our observations are, and then relaying those observations and analysis back to the speaker. One of the things that makes our Toastmasters program so successful is giving immediate, constructive, and useful feedback to our speakers so that they can use that. It also involves that feedback is positive and encouraging to the speakers, making them want to come back and try it again. So this involves learning how to think quickly, how to give feedback quickly, and how to select the things that you're going to say. And we do this both verbally and in writing. I think that in general, many people have a difficult time giving feedback to others. And so this is a great place to practice and learn and perfect this. I've used it many times in my workplace, and people say, how did you notice that? Or that was great feedback. And I always say, it's because of Toastmasters. How many times do people come to you and say, what do you think of this? Or how did I do for that? Or how could I improve that? Those are things that we learn in Toastmasters, and we can apply them to our work life. And that's one of the things that many people come to Toastmasters for, is to learn how to get better in their workplace and perhaps to get a job or get a promotion in their job. So I've used it many times. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bev. And I also have used the ability to give feedback with my family and at work when I was working. But overall, it's a really, really good skill to have. We've talked about the prepared speech portion of our meeting. We also have impromptu speaking in Toastmasters. It's very important, and we do try to include it at almost every meeting. This section is led by a table topics master. Kulina is now going to talk to us about leading the table topics session. So Kulina, could you tell us a bit about this role and some of the skills learned in serving as the master of the role? And have there been any sessions that you have led that have been particularly rewarding or perhaps particularly challenging? And tell us about those as well. Over to you, Kulina.
Sure. Thank you, Connie. I just lost myself there. Give me a moment. Table topics master. Connie had mentioned that it's the impromptu portion of the a meeting. However, I want to share, as a table topics master, you actually do some preparing in advance. It's a great leadership role in developing skills that are useful every day. One of them is really incorporating the theme of the meeting or some kind of relevance of the day into your questions. The other is really having some thoughtful consideration of selecting the participants that would be involved, and also building your relationship skills and leadership skills on reaching out to them, you know, being gentle, being thoughtful. Are they participating already? Is this an area that they're interested in, or just gently asking them in advance too? Don't ever take it personal, because I'm sure you've been on the other side and could go, not today, but it's a great adventure when you do. You also get to develop really good questions that allow participants to develop an answer. And that's where you get to prepare in advance, is really think about your relevance or your topic and figure out either one question or 3 different questions, or you could do a 2-pronged and let them select. And that's the nice thing about it as well, is that you build a skill in table topics to really listen and summarize. That would probably be my best favorite skill that you get from table topics master, is really listening to what the person is saying and building on those transitions to kind of weave in your next question to the next person. And done really well, you have this beautiful conversation of these amazing different questions, and everyone's involved. So it's a mini speech at the beginning, but it ends up being a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Colina, for that very succinct description of the role of the Table Topics master. Now, with the master has to come the speaker or the participant in Table Topics. Colina shared one side. Steve's now going to talk about being a Table Topics speaker. Steve, could you describe this role, Table Topic speaker or participant, and what are some of the key learnings that you have obtained? Was there a time when your overall participation in Table Topics has helped you out? And because you also talked about the prepared speeches, are there some differences in speaking off the cuff? And how are those skills perhaps just a little bit different? Over to you, please, Steve.
Thank you once again, Connie. Well, Table Topics. As a speaker, I think it's just one of those beautiful skills that you can ever hope to pick up during your journey at the club. Thinking on your feet and impromptu speaking is something we do every day. Now, personally, as a cultural student, being able to speak on the spur of the moment is very crucial to striking that conversation at the right time, in the right way, and is essential to building the kind of relationships that eases your integration into a new environment. So for me, that is very critical. Now, having the opportunity for a table topic speaker helps develop these valuable skills. For instance, you get the opportunity to formulate a response with little or no notice, and that could be very nervy sometimes, but be relaxed. You will find the rhythm for that. You also get the opportunity to develop the skills that helps you organize your thoughts. You also stay within the allotted time. And then again, how do you find this valuable? Think about job interviews. Think about handling difficult questions. Think about handling difficult clients. Think about those crucial moments where you need to show up. This is a skill that is definitely transferable, even in relationships within you and your spouse and others. So again, fantastic skill to pick up, and I encourage you to continue to build in that area. Thank you. Connie, you're muted. Sorry.
I got to unmute myself. Online learning, folks. Online meetings is a new skill set that I didn't ever think that I would need to learn. Thank you very much, Steve, for your comments and that contrast, because prepared speeches and impromptu speaking are certainly two different things. Bev has already described for us the role of a speech evaluator. Well, we learn from one another, we learn from our feedback. We have an important leadership role in our meetings, generally speaking, and that is that of the general evaluator. So Bev, we're going to call on you again for this aspect of evaluation to comment on the observational and motivational skills that are part of the GE role. Are there any other skills that you see as integral? And now, I mentioned my inability to mute myself as we were online. How has this role changed now that we're meeting online? Are there any new or different areas that you would observe and comment on? Please, Bev.
Thank you very much, Connie. Well, the general evaluator is kind of like one giant table topic response. As the general evaluator, we need to always be paying attention. We always need to listen. We always need to observe, because we need to give some feedback on everything that happens in the meeting. Now, you can't talk about in detail everything. So part of this is distilling what you saw, saying what you need to say so that you can help people grow in a kind and helpful manner, and speaking the things that are going to help people most to give in your report, and to help not only the person who performed that role, but help people who will be doing that role in another time. So there's a lot of decision making on the fly goes on here, and writing reports on the fly also, and some prioritization. All of this has to be done, this report, in about 2 to 3 minutes. So that doesn't give you a whole lot of time to do that. We have learned some new skills since we switched to Zoom. And one of the two actually of the skills I like is one, we can select our view. So we can watch the whole group and how they're responding to a speaker. But I can also zoom in by selecting just the speaker. And in table topics, which a general evaluator would evaluate, I can watch people's facial expressions and things like that. So Zoom has really gotten us up close and personal. Also in Zoom, using the chat feature, you can give somebody immediate feedback. When they're done, I can type in, great job, or thanks for all that information, or something like that. So that's quick feedback right like that. And it can be done personally to that speaker, or it can be done to the entire group. So the general evaluator requires you to watch the whole meeting. So you always have to be on. You have to write a report. You have to prioritize what you're going to say. And then you can give individual feedback if you want. And all of this while still remembering that you have to be, that you're on camera all the time and you have to unmute yourself before you speak.
Yes, you do have to unmute yourself. This time I remembered. Now, at the beginning of this session, I mentioned that we'd hear more about the importance of timing in our meetings. We're going to call on Catherine now to share some thoughts about the timer role. Catherine, we've all been victims of people who have hijacked meetings by going overtime and preventing others from having the opportunity to do their part. Are there any instances where this may have happened to you? And what have you learned about time management from Toastmasters? Please welcome Catherine.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Connie. Oh, yes, I've definitely have had those meetings that got totally hijacked, mostly in my work setting. I'm not too sure why that's not necessarily a skill that's taught. Well, that's why Toastmasters exists. But even at the most senior levels, there's rarely agendas. They maybe put on discussion items that are a little bit too lofty for the allocated time, or somebody railroads the discussion and talks multiple times and takes over the discussion from everybody. I've also had the situations where I was presenting or planning a training event and was told I was given 30 minutes, and the day before was told, no, actually, we're going to give you 60 minutes. I'm like, whoa, that is great. What am I going to fill that extra time with? And so there's lots of things that I've learned about time management. Again, partnering with the Toastmaster, it's really about being able to adjust to whatever is going on, but that pre-planning is very important. For myself, the timer role in particular has really helped me learn a lot about, helped me to learn how to listen better, because you do have to listen for somebody starting and somebody stopping. So that's been a great skill. And it isn't easy, but it's a great opportunity to learn about the meeting rules, all of them, because you have to listen to them so intently. For time management in particular, in Toastmasters in general, there is a couple of points. It's about me responding within the allocated time that I have. And second to that, it shows that I'm respectful of other people's time. When I go over time, that means that's going to have an impact on somebody else that should have had that time instead of me. So when I want to be working with Toastmasters or working with other leaders, I want them to be very clear about what their time expectations are. So that preparation is key, and to keep within those expectations, give or take. There's absolutely lots of flexibility there. So the timer role is key for listening, but also gives you that opportunity to be conscious of time and learn about time management.
Thanks very much, Catherine. I think we're going to end up being a little bit over time on this presentation, and I do apologize to all of you. Now, our time is running to a close, and we are not going to have time for any questions directly to our panel. I would ask you, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we will follow up. Now, in addition to what's been highlighted here today, there's other roles in Toastmasters that you could include. A word master, grammarian, who helps us build our vocabulary and analyze our use of language. A quiz master who tests our listening skills by asking questions of what has transpired. We have contests in the spring and the fall that provide all kinds of leadership and participation opportunities. Speaking of leadership, we have club officer roles that also can help you to build your skills, such as running a business meeting, parliamentary procedures, preparing reports, teamwork, and so much more. There are also officer positions such as what Leanne is holding beyond the club that help you to develop skills. If any of you are interested in these leadership opportunities, please let us know, because we could perhaps host a panel on the leadership opportunities at a future meeting. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I am a self-proclaimed lifer in Toastmasters. My own continual growth and learning, as well as watching other people grow in their skills and development, is what's kept me here in this club for 30 years now. I hope that through the information and discussion from our panelists, you've gained a better understanding of the importance of all of our meeting rules. The executive has worked on 2 documents that will expand upon this. That is a meeting rules description and a meeting script to help you to know what to say. We're going to circulate those after the meeting as well. In Toastmasters, we learn from doing. Last week in his speech, Kevin told us that we get from the program what we put into it, and that is so true. Performing a variety of roles ultimately helps us all get the most of our Toastmasters experience and build our confidence in our communication and leadership. So good luck to everyone in your journey. Back to you, Ola.